everybody, it's Romania Black, and we are on episode 25 of My Hero Academia. This is it. So, this is the season finale. I'm pretty shocked that we're here because it feels like it's been a while we've been watching My Hero Academia, but it doesn't seem like it should be at the 25 episode mark yet, right? It doesn't feel like it. It feels like it feels like Hawks and Twice were just battling a couple weeks ago and so much has happened since then, right? But I really liked season 6. I would say a lot of people didn't like season 5 for various reasons, whether it was anime, whether it was the pacing, whatever. I was fine with season 5 because I liked it, and I think that knowing what was going to happen in the manga and what there was to look forward to, I think made it a lot more of an enjoyable experience. I think if I had been anime only, then some of the pacing and things would have basically gotten to me more than they did. But this season, it's been great. Now, I have not gone back and reread the manga to see just how close and true to form it is from the manga to the anime adaptation. I'm sure there's been other people comment on how they're similar and different, or if there's been anything rearranged or left out. I'm sure people have commented about that or talked about it on Twitter or social media, Reddit, whatever. But I've been really impressed with not only the animation at times with this season, but also with the voice acting and with the emotion and things and the adaptation of several scenes into anime, because I was a little worried because, like I've said in previous reactions, My Hero Academia is kind of like Bones's like third child. They're like, third child, but not their last child, right? They're just like, well, yeah, we like them, we love them equally, but I feel like they give a lot more attention and detail to some other series that they do, not naming names, that I may have watched on this channel. But I am glad that Bones took the time with this season to make it a good adaptation. I really am. And I think that the voice acting, like I said, paid off in spades. Like Dabi's voice actor, Bakugo's voice actor, Deku's voice actor, All Might's, Shoto's, like they all have done, Hawks, like there's a whole cavalcade of them that have come through and made really, really great memorable moments from the manga to this adaptation. And it's gone above, the voice acting has gone above and beyond my expectations, and I've been absolutely floored by it. But we got Dabi's dance, we got Hawks versus Twice, we've had Deku's Dark Days, like it's all been really good adaptation stuff, and there's still lots more to come. And apparently Discord said today that they're announcing season 7. I'm not surprised, because My Hero Academia is a pretty popular series, and it usually does financially well. Sells a lot of stuff, right? And plus, they have enough content to clearly do a season 7. They definitely have enough content. I just hope that they take their time and do it well. That's my hope. I'm like, you guys don't need to do another movie. Stop. Just focus on this project right now and you'll be fine, right? I hope so. I hope so indeed. But yeah, so we're on episode 25. Deku has been welcomed back into UA. Ochako gave a really moving declaration in the last episode. All Might has taken off in the best genist mobile, and Stain is apparently following him. And we've not really heard much from the League of Villains in a while, which I'm thinking we're probably going to touch base on them before we end the season. And I'm curious though, because honestly, I said this in the manga spoilers and the spoiler corner, I thought that the last episode was where we were going to end the season, if I'm being honest. I thought that Ochako's declaration was going to end out the season and that was going to be it. But I said this in the spoiler corner, I don't quite remember what happens at this point in the manga. I don't remember what happens at this point in the manga. I remember some stuff that I know will come down the road, but I don't remember what happened at this point. So this is going to be an interesting reaction because I was expecting it to end, the season to end last episode, and we have a whole new episode. I don't think it's going to be filler. So if they're going to do that, they're going to do that at the beginning of the season, and we didn't get that this time. So good on us. So yeah, we'll just see what happens. So I hope you all enjoy this reaction. Before I start, I want to give a special shout out to our philanthropy tier over on Patreon. I have 3 tiers on Patreon. There's a tier that's just for Discord access and to vote in the polls to see what show I'm going to watch next. There's also a tier that is to get reactions a week early, as well as the Discord, as well as the polling. And then the final tier, the philanthropy tier, is to get all of those things. Plus, you get a shout out in my videos. And if we have any ties in the poll, y'all get to choose the winners. So that's the idea, but I'm really thankful for these special patrons who decide to give extra each month, not because they have to, but because they absolutely want to. And y'all, you help me do what I enjoy doing and be able to afford the services, the anime, the manga that I review on this channel. And I'm very, very appreciative. You guys go above and beyond in so many ways, and I really, really am thankful. So, a special shout out to Edgar, to Dana, to Truck, to Anime Annie, to Larry Manning, to Tyrone, to Kenny, to Arjo, to Shimayama, to Be Happy and Translucent Men. Y'all just going above and beyond and being the best people. So, all of my love. Thank you so, so, so much. But with that being said, we're going to start My Hero Academia episode 25 of season 6. And we're going to start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's do this. Oh. Oh my gosh. Wow, that was an amazing final episode of this season. It was cute, it was humorous, it was heartfelt, it was like just epic at times, and it did an amazing job of setting up what is to come. So we will have a spoiler corner, no worries. But I do want to go through this episode and talk about it because I think not remembering at this point in the story what was happening was a big benefit. And there were parts that were starting to like come back to me as we went, and I was like, oh yeah, and this was one of them. Oh my gosh. I said this in the OP during the reaction to it. The opening scene with All Might and Stain, I do remember it from the manga, but I will be honest, I think Bones did it justice, and it was better than the manga. Because in the manga, like, all this crazy stuff was happening with Deku, with Ochako, with Bakugo's apology, everything. Like, we as manga readers were just reeling. And if I remember correctly, without spoiling anything of what's to come, but if I remember correctly, I feel like at this point in the manga, things were just so chaotic that it didn't feel like the chapter with All Might and Stain was long in the manga. It didn't feel long. It felt like it was just like one brief chapter, but it felt like it went by really quickly, and I was like, oh, that was it? But here, it feels more drawn out in the anime, and the music score during this scene was gorgeous. It was so good. And then Stain's voice actor, like I said, the voice acting has elevated this entire season from the manga, but the voice actor for Stain, All Might's voice actor, oh my gosh, him just conveying this defeated and just burdened and just sad and despairing tone to his voice. Like, he feels like he's not good enough to help them anymore, and he's just weighing them down. And it's like, All Might, no. And Stain coming in, it was just so elevated. I really, really liked how the anime did this scene. It was beautiful. Because that's been All Might's big burden, is that he's like, I can't do anything anymore. All Might's like, my body is weak, I can't connect to my power, and he's like, I basically just set Deku up to be in this situation. He's like, and I can't even help him. He's struggled with the fact of feeling useless, and Aizawa's told him, like, well, you can do a lot to spur your students on, like, don't give up. And Stain kind of just like reinforces that, right? I absolutely love that. I love that Stain calls him an impersonator, being like, you're not really All Might. The All Might I know wouldn't be like this. I love that he also included a love letter in there. They just gloss over it, but it's so damn funny. I remember in the manga that they were like, bleh! Like, all the readers were like, of course he put a love letter in there. But yeah, I love that Stain is like All Might's biggest fan. And he's like, you're not acting like All Might, even if you say you are. He's like, the All Might I know wouldn't be like this. And I forgot about the parallel between All Might and Deku, where he saw the caution tape and the destruction, and he went running just like Deku did into the fray. Oh, that parallel. I had forgotten about that. Oh, it was so good. And then him saying, like, this is the result of me trying to do anything. And it's a lot of the same despair as All Might has been what Midoriya has had as well. It's been the same problems, the same worries. But All Might just, whereas Deku has all of his friends to kind of back him up, All Might really is alone. That's kind of the thing. Other than Aizawa and Endeavor, All Might doesn't really have any friends. That's kind of the weird thing about all this, right? I was thinking about that during the episode, especially at this point when he's talking to Stain. Deku, we just got done in the last episode establishing that Deku has had all of these friends from UA tied to him. All Might wasn't really, I mean, he finished his bout at UA, but then he left for the States. He didn't really cultivate any relationships that we know of with a lot of heroes. Or if he had, those heroes might be dead. They might be, out of the picture or decommissioned, or it might just be Endeavor. And it's like Endeavor and Aizawa. But Aizawa, they're only really friends because of the teacher capacity, honestly, because they're not the same age. So there's not really a lot of All Might contemporaries that are around at the time. So it is a really cool thing to see All Might and All for One kind of as these solo beings that have been flying solo and been by themselves for so long. And then you have Deku, who has all of his UA friends, and you have Shigaraki, who has all the League of Villains. So they each, these two lone figures have their predecessors who have, this giant support network surrounding them. But the funny thing is that All Might is trying to, help Deku, and he's very thankful that Deku has all of these friends, and he treasures them and is glad Deku has that support system. And All Might's kind of sad about himself, being like, I'm not living up to what they're doing for him. That's kind of where he is. Whereas you have All for One in the opposite scenario, where he's like, oh, Shigaraki, you have your friends, your League of Villains, but I'm the only one that you need. So it's so cool to see how Horikoshi takes All Might and All for One and their relationships with their predecessors and the relationships of their predecessors' support networks and how they're kind of inverted. It's really neat, right? And I had not thought about that until this episode. Was like, yeah, isn't that something? And All Might just feels like, All Might feels he's leading Deku further away from being a hero. All for One feels like he's leading Shigaraki further towards being his destined self. So again, the opposite, the contrasting elements, y'all. But what I love about this scene is that Stain grabs All Might and gets him in the headlock to hide behind the statue. And All Might's like, okay, this guy has no murderous intent. Why is he doing this? And inside, the funny thing is that we know Stain is an All Might fanboy. So if he does, whether he does think All Might there in front of him is the real All Might or not, it's kind of hilarious. It's like this stalker fanboy is like, get down here. And he's got him in a headlock. It's just, and All Might even makes a comment. He's like, should we really be this close? But Stain says, no, look. And Horikoshi, I said this in the last reaction, and I will say it again. Horikoshi is a master at planting tiny little seeds, and then 6 seasons later being like, oh, by the way, time to pluck out the carrot, right? That I've been growing secretly behind your backs for the last several seasons, and you didn't even know it, right? So, this isn't season 1, but season 3, the girl that All Might saves is the one cleaning the statue and cleaning away all the graffiti, and is doing so every day because she believes in All Might. And I like that in the manga, I never saw her use that quirk, or I don't remember it. So it's funny they draw emphasis here. It looks like she makes a little snowman to stand upon. Her quirk would be a very valuable quirk. You know that? You ever went to the store, or you ever went to a clothing store and you try to get this shirt that's way too high up, and you gotta find that rod, you gotta try to sneak it down, and you knock over half the shelf and all the clothes fall down on you, and you're like, I'm so sorry. And the staff's like, get out. That's how I feel going to the store and trying to get clothes down. So if I had a quirk like that and I just boop, 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 got up and got my thing and let it out, definitely could do that. Also, a good example of a quirk that could be used as a villain. You could just bloop, bloop, bloop and get up out of there. So, duality, right? But yeah, I love that she's cleaning it all off, and she's just talking to herself, encouraging her to do it, being like, you can do it, you can do it. And All Might's like, why is she putting herself through this every day? And Stain's like, I figured out who she is. I narrowed down the clues. And when he tells him, he's like, no matter what happened, All Might would smile as he sacrificed himself for the people. I like that he's just shaking All Might pretty much. At this point, he's just got him by the hair and is just shaking him. And All Might's like, yes, that it didn't have anything to do with his power. That person called All Might could only live like that. It wasn't just his power. I love that. I love that Stain says, All Might did it regardless of what his abilities were. He did it because he believed it was to save the people. And it's like, yes, I'm just, so damn good. People praise the conviction engraved in his soul. I freaking love it. It's so good. And that line by Stain, the buried embers that we left behind stand up to the wind and the rain. It's damn poetry. Saying that it stands up to the wind and the rain, getting passed among a few people, and is developing into a large and new fire. God, I love it. I love Bakugo and Shodor, like, at the front of it all. But yeah, it's like, yeah, everything is getting spread around. It's like a wildfire. It just gets spread, and that's not a bad thing to spread hope like that. I love it. We cannot let that fire go out, and there's Deku at the forefront. As long as we're alive, even if we struggle in an unseemly way, we have to keep stoking that fire. And she says, you do your best, you can do it. Like, she's just encouraging herself. And of course, All Might at this point, All Might's like, All Might and Deku, again, it is Dad Might. All Might and Deku are similar in that he's like about to cry for the 4th time today. He's like, damn it. He's like, if this lady can do it, then so can I. And I like Stain's like, my hero is crying. He's like, I can't hear my hero tears. I have to leave now. Stain, I love Stain's look, that like white leather jacket. It's so badass. I love it. It's just, he makes it work. He just looks like a Ninja Turtle from Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles is what he looks like. The design, the outfit. He obviously doesn't look like a turtle. Obviously, although the exaggerated chin and stuff and the lack of nose, but his outfit looks very Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles from like the 90s. It's a cool look. I like it. The soul of a hero exists only for the sake of others. And that's kind of why he got on, to Ida in the past and why he looked to All Might so much. I'm like, I like that Stain has kept to his convictions after all this time. I love that he's like, he says that, the soul of a hero is to save others, but if a god falls to earth and is given the frail soul of a mortal, or... And All Might's like, wait a minute, how do you know? How do you know about all this? He's like, this whole time have you known? He's like, I don't know you. But if you are a true hero... And he's like, then here's the info from Tartarus. Do something about it. And I like that he says, and then when you're done doing something about it, like, come and get me. I've killed 40 people for the sake of a more just world. Help it out. Oh, All Might. I love All Might in that moment where it's like, has the quivering lip and the tears like coming down his face. And then she leaves with the sign. The rain's about to stop. Yes. I love it. I love it so much. So yeah, that line about a god like falling, if a god falls to earth and is given the frail soul of a mortal. Like he knows, like it's like he knows exactly how all for one and one for all works. It's great. So the OP, last time with the OP, sad days, y'all. But oh my god, I do remember this part here in the manga where they go to like take Deku to get a bath, but it happens so fast that I love the portrayal of this. I wanted to go back and look at this again. Like, strip him! Kaminari wanted him to get that bath, damn it. He's getting a bath. It's great. I want to go back and see this. Now, you all, I'm sure, did not have your minds in the gutter when Deku was sprayed with mysterious streams of something in the face. I had my mind in the gutter so much. I swear it wasn't meant to be in the gutter, but it just was. And that image in front of me of Deku getting sprayed in the face from all different sides. It has a name, but I'm not going to say it on this channel. No, you all can get your minds out of the gutter and never know what I'm talking about. I was trying not to laugh. I was like, my mind is just awful today. But yeah, they're all running around him naked. It's so funny. And Mineta too. It's great. They're like, wash him. I love they're just spraying him with water. And then Kirishima is like, submerge him. I like Mineta's the one holding him down. And Kaminari, I like that Sero and Koda are in the back like, what the hell's going on? And they're just these manly men splashing around like what you do. And then Deku's like, well, One of my favorite panels of the whole damn manga, though, is when they're all around him with like little, like, Horikoshi does his little chibi face with their little, like, crescent moon eyes and their tiny little mouths. I love that Kaminari made his voice. He's like, the bath makes everything better, Deku. Like, it makes it chibi, too. So damn cute. I love that they animated Horikoshi's little chibi faces. Most things can be fixed if you just take a bath. So cute. And then... meanwhile, incoming resident ne'er-do-well, Bakugo, who's like, you're making the bathwater dirty, like he's been here the whole time. And I love Kirishima, like with his little head poking out of the water with his big old red hair. I love it. He's like, scrape it off with steel wool and an undiluted industrial strength detergent. Also, I like that they had to make the bath steam an incredibly large bubble. You know, because Bakugo has need for such things. My mind is so in the gutter in this episode, y'all. And then I like that Kirishima like looks, he's like, you need to follow the directions for the recommended amounts. God, it's ridiculous. And then meanwhile, Tokiyami and Sato and Koda, they just are all hanging out. Even though he apologized for his mistakes, he still hasn't changed. No, Bakugo has grown, character growth, character development, but that doesn't necessarily change his character. No. And then Bakugo just ignores that comment about making the water dirty and just jumps in himself. He's like, screw it. No one can tell me what to do except me. I love that Tokiyami is just like in the water like, you got us all wet. Like a bird would. He's like, go around. And Bakugo's like, you all think that I'm a goody two-shoes now. You're wrong. Like, it's like, it's not that I've given up on becoming number one. I love Kirishima's like, yeah, here we go. And Deku's like hiding his eyes. And the fact that everyone's my rival hasn't changed either. I like that it's Kirishima and Kaminari on either side of Deku listening to Bakugo have this conversation, because way back in previous seasons, Kaminari and Kirishima have been the ones that have been Deku's friends the most, other than Deku. But my favorite part of this whole entire exchange is the fact that Bakugo says, that includes you, Izuku. He doesn't call him Deku. He does not call him Deku. He corrects himself because he's apologized and realized that Deku was a term, even though Deku's his hero name, it was a term that was meant to bully him, and he's trying to become a better person. I freaking love it. And Deku's just like, after he gets splashed with the water, he's like, oh, well, he's like, you can still call me Deku, Kachan. Like, he still calls him Kachan. He's like, my dictionary doesn't have the word impossible in it. I love it. God. Having ambition's a good thing. Is it, right? Let's take this chance to dunk Bakugo. Dunking Bakugo would like be dunking a cat. Like, I don't think that would work. He's like, what chance do you have? God, I just imagine the girls are like, really? And of course, Uraka, she's just exhausted. I forgot she wears the little mitts on her hands to keep her from floating up in the air. That's really cute. After she stopped worrying, she was drained. The other girls, too. Mm-hmm. So, also, noticed in this episode that Deku's voice actor, like, he's had this gruff, deep, mature voice throughout most of his dark arc phases here, but when the moment he goes back to, like, talking with them, his voice goes back to normal, and it, like, gets much softer and kinder. It's so good. I'm like, his voice actor is very talented. And he tells everybody, thank you. Yep, for causing you trouble. So we have Tokiyami, we have Ida, we have Sero, we have Invisible Girl, Mineta, Kaminari. Again, Kaminari, Bakugo, and Kirishima are on the couch. The three amigos. The besties. Mm-hmm. And they're like, all for one you should have told us. Yeah, I like that Mina's like, why didn't you tell us about this, crazy guy, huh? And I like that Ojiro's super nice. And he's like, man, from being quirkless to having this power, that must have been crazy. And then Sero's like, yeah, anybody's bones could have broke if they got too much power. And then I like Ojiro's like, what does all for one feel like? Like, he's asking this deep existential question, like, tell us what this power is like. Like, Ojiro's asking the right questions. And then Shoto comes in like, guys. Yuki Kaji's like, let's let it be. He's probably the sleepiest I've ever. I love that Shoto walks in with like the hottest pose and the coolest statements. Also, if you were a Shoto and Deku shipper, this was your time. If you were a Deku Bakugo shipper, this was your time as well. But the Shoto and Deku moments in this episode, mwah. I'm not the biggest Shoto and Deku shipper myself, but I see the ship, I respect the ship, and this was definitely an episode for the ship. Because, yeah, him coming in and just being like, let him sleep. Why'd we bring him back otherwise if he's not going to rest? Mineta has some great moments in this episode. The way he's animated is so hammy and cheesy and cute. But the moment where he's like, is that pose the actual way you'd walk into a room? Mineta is asking the real questions. Mineta is like, do you really walk in with like the mussed hair and like the wrap, like wiping the droplets of water off your face? He's like, who does that? Like, I've never hated Mineta's character. I always found him funny. And I just love him in this moment where he's like calling it out. He's like, really, dude? He's just jealous because people are shipping Deku with Shoto and not Mineta. And I just the way he's like, what do you think? How many points? The way he looks like a damn Family Guy character, the way that he's drawn. I am getting a photo of that and making it an emote in the Discord. It's happening because, God, that face is hilarious. I love that. And then Shoto, are you all right? Like, he just looks so good in this episode. Shoto looks like a damn, like, dreamboat, right? He's like, I couldn't sleep, so might as well stay up. And I love the Shoto's like, why couldn't you sleep? I'm like, are you guys on a date? Do we need to leave? Do we need to get out? Can we go out the back door and just leave you two alone? Like, that's what it feels like. He's like, why not, Deku? And Deku's like, well, I don't want to talk about it. He's like, and then he says he acted terribly towards All Might. And he hasn't apologized. Of course, Deku would feel bad about that. Him and All Might share brain cells. And that's when you notice that Shoto's looking up at the window instead of at Deku. He's like, I feel like I should, but I can't get a hold of him. And Shoto's like, he's right there. Yeah, I love that he like points over. And then there he is, looking like just like a ghost in the window. God, it's so good. I'm like, All Might, why? And then he apologizes. And I like that the others are like, Mina and them are like, hey, you need to apologize to us too for just leaving us and ditching us and not being honest with us. And he's like, I'm sorry, I caused you all to worry. And then he says, so we found out, kids, that I know we just solved your existential trauma and just, had a powwow and got back together, but it's about to be Shigaraki Hero War Battle 2 Electric Boogaloo coming up in season 7. Just saying. So yeah, he's like, we'll need everyone we have, including myself. And All Might kind of gets down on himself, being like, I'll do whatever I can. And I like that Midoriya is like, hey, your poor color bowls, like, you gave me strength. Like, you were doing stuff to help me. Like, I was probably in a bad state because I wasn't getting the stuff that you made for me. So don't get down on yourself. And I'm like, that was such a good moment. I was like, yes, absolutely. He's like, I ended up like that because I distanced myself from you. And All Might, when he's like, I'll show you that I can catch up to you, kids. Stop. Oh my gosh. Just, how could you, All Might? What the heck? And so, yeah. And so he goes back to Endeavor and the others. And of course, I like that Tokiyami is mad because Hawks didn't get back to him. He like kept him on red. He wouldn't get back to him. And I like that Mina calls him Angry Ami. Cute. He's like, I'm going back into the darkness to meditate. And Shoto makes the point of saying that Endeavor doesn't need to come to UA because of the whole Dabi incident. Shoto's like, they can't show themselves for no reason. Seeing my old man will bring Dabi to everyone's mind. I love that, just giving that image of Dabi looking crazy. They're like, even with what just happened, it's not like all evacuees here are just instantly going to become our friends. I also love that during this whole thing, he went and got Deku a damn blanket to put over him so he could sleep on the couch. The Shoto Deku stuff this episode, y'all. It's there. It's there. And he just like brings it and like tucks him in. People are still uneasy about me on the inside too. And Kirishima's like, well, that sucks just because it's your family. I also like that Bakugo is like sitting there with like his leg propped up, like just like posing in front of Kirishima, like looking like a dang like model from like a band magazine. And then Shoto's like, no, it's fine. He's like, because, yeah, Kirishima says, it's not like you did anything yourself. And he's like, I did, though. He's like, I was so obsessed with my bloodline, I lost sight of my own path. He's like, but this is not the same. He's like, I'm going to prove it. I like Kaminari has like a little blank look on his face, and Bakugo's like, But Shoto looks so precious there. He looks so innocent. I love that little innocent look on his face. It's so cute. He says, everyone needs to be at ease. Like, I like that he just has this, like, calming presence, right? And Kirishima's like, so manly. I love it. It's so cute. There are so many cute expressions in this episode. Like, Bones, what are you doing? And then Jiro's like, well, we need to remedy that. She's like, I want people to be our allies and friends again. She's like, we did the culture festival. We wanted people to be reassured around us. So we all banded together to do our best. She's like, I want there to be like that. I want to get the band back together to do it, right? It's so cute. And I love like Shoto's facial expressions at this point are so soft and sweet. I love it. And he's like, yeah, you're right. Like, what is this? Mineta and him? What are these expressions? I can't, y'all. I cannot. And then I like that Sarah like smacks Mineta's little balls on his head for no reason. Why? Why? God, I love it. He's like, let's not just get it back. Let's make things better than before. So yeah, when Deku said to the citizen outside, he's like, don't worry, we'll get it back. I love that Jiro's like, that's not good enough. We're not just going to get it back. We're going to make things better. Right? So, I love it. I love it. And so then we go to Hawks and Best Jeanist and Endeavor and everybody. They've all decided that instead of having 2 months to ready for the attack like we thought originally, that's not the case. That's not the case at all. And so we cut to All Might. We cut to Stain, like going and getting the information, like the three. When we first opened up the case, I'll be honest, when we were watching this, reading this in the manga, I thought when he opened up the case, it was gonna be like more quirk stealing bullets or something, but instead it's like 3 like flash drives of information that the person from Tartarus didn't want leaking, right? And Stain's like, I'm gonna take this, bye. And I like that Akagura, like he calls him by his name. He's like, what are you? Are you a beast? And he's like, yes, I am a beast who's trying to make it in this just world. And it's like, ugh. And of course, the only person he goes to that he can trust is All Might. So then we come back to the police officers and Tsukauchi, y'all. Tsukauchi like hit daddy status at this point in the manga. Bones did a lot of things justice in this episode, but one thing it did not do justice is showing Naomasa Tsukauchi looking like a damn fine man, because go on Twitter, look up his name. There have been so many memes that have been like showing how he was the clean-cut, proper police officer, and now it's like, your daughter calls me daddy too, and it's like, oh my god! And it's like, yes, he has a glow up, and it's just like, one of my favorite memes is on Twitter. Someone had put like, they put the glow up between him in like detective mode and him in like in the officer and military gear mode, and they were like, well, if anything will cause a glow up, it's a heavy dose of trauma. It's like, trauma and existential dread. That'll do it. I'm like, anime, that's the anime formula. Give your protagonist trauma and existential dread and they'll have a massive glow up right before your eyes. Works every time. Oh my god. I did laugh a little bit at that because he does have a glow up. But All Might talks about the thing bothering him, and the fact of the matter is that they were able to be telepathic links between Shigaraki and All for One. I do like this cat officer, Sansa. I like how Sansa's eyes like get big and like the pupils dilate throughout the scene where they're talking. It's a really cute little functionality that kind of draws your attention and keeps you invested in the moment, because this is a lot of exposition. So I like that All Might says, you know, with One for All, we can input to the vestiges, but the vestiges don't feed back out to us outside, right? So he's like, my thoughts can synchronize with my own consciousness within One for All, but it doesn't go the other way unless I'm right next to the vessel. Whereas All for One is able to communicate with Shigaraki despite being far away from the vessel. So there's still some differences between One for All and All for One that we're going through here, right? This time, the one time it was different. He's like, it's, 500 meters, and they're like, there's a telepathy thing, right? They communicate with radio waves. So yeah, that is a thing too. They had a quirk that could communicate that made it possible, whereas All Might was not able to. And so the quirk for the radio waves let them communicate. And that's when All Might and them use it to determine that, surprise, we got 3 days. So Deku and friends got a total of Deku got a month of just running himself ragged. And then he got to rest a day. Good for him. And now he has 3 days before we're at Apocalypse Part 2. So yeah, fun times ahead, y'all. Fun times ahead. And so All Might's like, well, shit. I like the image of the vessel of Shigaraki. So it's showing like what All for One is going to look like when he combines with Shigaraki. It looks like a character from Soul Eater. It really does. It has like the weird cape shawl that Shigaraki wears, but then it has the suit of All for One and then the hands and everything. It looks like a Soul Eater character, and it's freaking bizarre. I don't know how to feel about it. And then the cat's got eyes all dilated. It's like, just 3 days. And so that's when we decide to call upon all of the United Nations and see what we got going on. And I'm sorry. So we have like everybody's, debating on who to dispatch. And they do bring up a good point. They're like, look, if we dispatch our greatest heroes, each of our countries will potentially be in danger, because then if word gets out, then the crime organizations and the villains in our own countries are going to rise up, and we may be in like a liberation front situation like you all were, and we don't want that. So I don't blame them for getting a little freaked out. But God, what I love is that All for One is people ready in each country. So they found out from Interpol that it's already being set in place, whether they like it or not. So they need to be the first to strike. And they're like, this is a request from Hawks Endeavor, and above All Might. We cannot ignore it. I like just the Egyptian hero Salam Horikoshi Y. And it's a hieroglyph. It's a moving hieroglyph. Why? It's so stereotypical and weird. I mean, it's funky, but like, I think what gets me is that in Bones, they have the movement where it just looks like a little comic strip 2D movement. What the fudge, man? What the fudge? Okay. He's just sitting there like a paper waving. And then he just moves back and forth. It's so weird. He's raving that he will get All for One. And then Big Red Dot feels the same way, right? Why is paperwork necessary? Yep. So the hero there. Okay. And then, oh yes. Of course, America sends theirs out already. And there's the sweat drops. She couldn't take it anymore. Star. Oh, you don't blame us if you get in trouble, Star. I can't say anything about this till the spoiler corner, but if there was anything to embody America, there it is. Blonde hair, big boobs, and muscles. Priorities. So, yeah. And then, of course, that transition of All for One saying, next, it's your turn, and it goes to Shigaraki and then transitions to Deku. Very effective. And Deku, of course, freaks out in that moment. And then I liked it. Again, if you wanted to ship Ochako and Deku together, this is a good episode for that too, because there's Uraka, and she's just like not even fazed by Black Whip. She's like, oh, good morning, Deku. And Mineta's like, hurry up and put that black thing away. Oh, Mineta. And yeah, and Deku's like, oh, okay. So yeah, I like the fact that Ochako's not afraid of Deku or worried about his quirks. I think if you're going to ship them together, that's a nice little quality for them to have. And then Deku's like, yeah, we're all going to fight together. It's like, man, the final battle's drawing near, but I'm not scared. Why should I be scared? I have all of my friends. Everyone from Class A is with me. Yep, people's smiles are everything. We'll overcome despair. And I'll say nothing more till the spoiler corner. So I was very impressed with this episode. Loving it. Very good time. Love it a lot. There's so much to look forward to with season 7. And I'm actually really glad with this episode. I feel like they teased it just enough. Just enough to give you just a little taste of what's to come. We got 3 days before the final battle with Shigaraki. What could happen? So yeah, I've got things in the spoiler corner to talk about. I'm really excited about season 7. This season has been so much fun. But I've got some extra things that I've been putting on the back burner on this channel that I've not been able to get to because of these reactions, because of reactions and my schedule being full. So for the month of April, we're just going to be touching on some extra stuff that I've been kind of neglecting. So that's where we're at with that. But so I'm really excited, y'all. I hope you all are too. But that we're not wasting more time. So I'm going to talk a little bit in the spoiler corner, but if you're not sticking around for that, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back very soon with, well, I'm back soon with more reactions, but I will be back with season 7 of My Hero Academia. We can face anything. No despair here. I honestly did not remember what happened. As the episode was happening, I was like, oh, we're touching on this. I knew that All Might and Stain had the conversation. I knew Deku got his bath. I knew we previewed Stars and Stripes, but I didn't know if we would get to it all in this episode. And then as we were, I was like, oh, it was like Celine Dion was playing in the background and it's all coming back to me now. It was like just bursting through in my brain. I was like, oh yeah, this moment. So this was such a good episode. No complaints from me. The Stain stuff is great. I don't remember if we get Stain in season 7 and he kind of like just jumps off and goes, he skitters his own little way away, right? I don't know. I haven't read the latest chapter of My Hero Academia. I need to read it. I always feel like I'm a chapter behind when recording these videos. I just catch up. But we haven't seen Stain in a long time in the manga, so I don't know when we'll get him next again. But All Might worried me from this point on, and he's still alive in the manga as far as I've read, but it's just like death flag central. Like I feel like they set the death flags up early with All Might, like way back in season 3, where they're like, just in case if he does die, you won't, it won't be a surprise. And it's like, yeah, it's such a crazy moment, but I love Stain and All Might's interactions, right? The chibi versions of all of them in the bathtub was everything I could have wanted. I absolutely loved it. Bakugo and his whole deal. Bakugo just setting up his character development. I'm ready for season 7. Shigaraki and Bakugo's battle, I'm ready for it. And Deku being like going berserk, I'm ready for it. Because here, Deku didn't really have the opportunity to go berserk over Bakugo getting injured because he was so like, he was tapped into Shigaraki at that moment and then they had the vestiges talking. But now that he's had the conversation with Bakugo and the apology, when Bakugo sacrifices himself again for Deku, then it's going to be Deku will have time to process it and be like, oh my God, what have we done? I am going to make a GIF or an emote to put in the Discord chat from Minetta's like his animation in this. It's so hilarious. But man, Shoto is just animated really good in this. Shoto looked great. I'm so looking forward to Shoto versus Dabi. The Dabi stuff in season 7, if we get to all of it, I'm ready, y'all. I'm so gung-ho ready for it. I'm ready for all the people to come back. I'm ready for the cameos. I'm ready for the battles. I'm ready for everything to get split up and it all get weird. I hope Bones can do it justice because the manga makes it look gorgeous, right? Absolutely gorgeous. And then, yeah. So I love the idea that they all are going to work together to help Deku and help make things better again, right? I like we had the callback. We had the callback to the culture festival. I love that we did that. Like that was so cute. And I love that Jiro is the one to bring it up again, right? So yeah, as far as other things, Daddy Sakauchi, always a good time. But then the idea that they only have 3 days and then Stars and Stripes. I've been waiting to talk about Stars and Stripes for so long. I'm glad she gets previewed here. She just looked like she just did a Hardee's commercial for an All-American Steak Burger and then flew over here and has been like powering herself on Red Bull the entire way. I love Stars and Stripes so much. I can already see the anime onlys in the comments being like, she's just the girl version of All Might. And I'm like, no. I mean, she kind of is, but there's more to it than that. She looked up to All Might when he saved her in America. We're tying to the first movie, making it even more canon. I appreciate that. But I love Stars and Stripes so much. She's actually a really good superhero to represent my country. It just sucks what happens to her. Again, I have a feeling I'm going to be doing the a lot during season 7 because I'm not ready for some of those things. I am ready to see Stars and Stripes, just not ready for what happens to her. They're going to make you really like her character and then shit's going to go down. I did want to talk to us about something though. I don't remember the Shigaraki look of him looking like a Soul Eater character from the manga, so maybe that's anime only. I don't remember that. That doesn't seem right, but Shalom is such a weird superhero. But here's the thing. The scene here where Deku says, because my friends are with me, right? The very last scene, I wanted to talk to you all about that scene because there's a couple things I've noticed. One, when he says the final battle draws near, right? Everybody's woke up. Bakugo's not a morning person, so he's still asleep. He says, but strangely, I'm not scared because everyone from Class A is with me. And we see Invisible Girl. We can't see her face, right? Because she's invisible. But then he says, because my friends are with me, we'll get it all back together. People, smiles, everything. Want to make note, if you go back and look, it's like at the 22-minute, 11-second mark in the reaction. If you go through there, he says, people, smiles, everything, will get it back. We see everybody, but it cuts off Ayama. It cuts him off. And I think in the manga it cuts him out too, but he's the traitor. So it makes sense that it cuts him out. We're going to get that whole thing next season, that whole debacle. I'm ready. But yeah, I was watching the episode going, ooh! And I was trying to hide my surprise because I wanted to talk about it in that second, being like, oh, good, look. And then he's hidden. We don't see him. And then there's Bakugo and Shoto. Okay, they did wake up. Look at them. Shoto looks so soft in this episode. It's so crazy. Man, if you were a Shoto Deku shipper, good for you. But yeah, we don't see Ayama in the frame with all of them at the end. We don't see him. He's blocked. Isn't that something? That's so crazy that they intentionally leave him out because he's the traitor. Oh, man. What a good season, y'all. I've really enjoyed this season. It's left so much to come. I'm so excited for where it goes, but I can't believe we're already to the end. Isn't that wild? Huh. So I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below, what you all thought of this, and what you're looking forward to with season 7. Spoiler tag in the comments, obviously, for those that are anime only, but I'm curious to know what you're looking forward to with season 7. I'm really excited regardless, y'all, but I can't wait to see what happens. So this has been so much fun and I've really enjoyed it. And I can't wait to watch season 7 with y'all next year. So if all goes well. So in the meantime, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'll be back with more reactions on this channel, but I will definitely be back with more of My Hero Academia. Bye!